One. Go.
Hey, welcome back, sport fans. Here with another episode of Half Baked Sports, and of course, as you can see, there's only two of us. This is the cold and flu season, and plus we have a guy out because of a family loss, and our hearts are out for you, Kendall. We'll be seeing you hopefully later on this week. So yeah, it's just the two of us breaking down a couple of topics, and I know there's been a lot of talk on this one. Dallas, my man. Tell me what's your take on this, because I'm interested to know.
I only run with Dallas at, I guess, pinnacle points in times of the year because there's so much or too many dramatics involved with that team. There's nothing about that team that shows me that they can actually win when it counts.
It's hilarious because you hear all the chatter on the ESPN and the FSN network. These commentators, they can't win an above 500 team. That's one of the things. And then you hear all this other stuff about, well, there's no leadership. And it's weird because that team has so much talent.
Yeah, because you can't have that much potential on one squad. I mean, both defensively and offensively.
Yeah,
and they're not winning. I mean, this isn't that type of league where you can see
they pulled off a decisive one this weekend over the Rams. Yeah. But even with that, I had to worry. I was thinking to myself, is this a good win for Dallas or is this a loss by the Rams? Because the Rams didn't show up for that game. I'm actually worried. I'm trying to make a pick for next week against Dallas and Philly. I'm leaning toward Philly.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I beg to differ about the difference between the Rams and, the Rams losing and the Cowboys winning. Look, the Cowboys won that game outright.
Well, okay.
Because of what I've seen from the Rams.
Yeah.
It was an outright win.
But it was a beating, and I think that a lot of that was, I don't know, I don't want to say self-imposed, but it looked like it was lackluster. They didn't. Yeah. I didn't see the Rams team that I have come to watch.
But what I've seen over just this past season from the Rams and this season itself, the Rams are just like, to me, Atlanta. They show up when they want to show up. You can also put that on Tampa Bay.
Atlanta showed up finally about halfway through the season.
Oh yeah, but the whole thing with San Francisco, that was just okay, it happens.
No, if you take a look. Oh man, it was like right around half season. They were 1-7. All of a sudden, they went on like either won 2 or 3 straight. Now they did lose to like New Orleans and a couple other top tier teams, but they took down San Francisco. Yeah. The New Orleans game was close. They're basically beating up everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like if Atlanta had that much talent, where was the glue? And I'm looking forward to maybe analyzing them in this offseason to find out what caused them to come together.
I tend to think that, we have names past numbers. Yeah. And what I mean by that is that the teams that had people with names, just like Cleveland, they had good names. And those kids had great numbers until, it was showing proof.
But definitely getting back to Dallas, I mean,
Dallas is...
last commentary, I don't know. I'm confused, to say the least. We're going to have to see these next 2 games.
Yeah, so, but I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I will wrap this up. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and everybody knows that the one team I should automatically, next to the Raiders, would be the Cowboys. But this year, I expected more from them. So if I was a fan of the Cowboys, this is pathetic put on the field. So.
Definitely feel sorry for you Cowboy fans because it's not even...
So
sure thing if you get the division.
Really don't care
I don't know. Anyway, rolling on to the next cover, the head coaching positions. Obviously, we've already seen Ron Rivera let go outright. Carolina's going to need somebody to step in. There's still not a surety on the Cleveland situation, although I would be remiss to say they need to let him go. He's not ready for head coach yet. Atlanta and Dallas is another one they're questioning. Garrett. Outside of finding someone that's completely aligned with Jerry Jones, I think Garrett's still his best option. I don't think anybody else is going to want to take that job.
Well, nobody wants it. I wouldn't want it. I don't think there's any legitimized head coach that wants that job.
Maybe Rex Ryan.
Well, yeah.
He was even desperate for Washington.
But hey, we already had the incident with John Gruden the Raiders, so. I mean, who knows what's next when it comes to coaching changes? Yeah, but Ron Rivera, I would love to see him as maybe a defensive coordinator for a powerhouse team that's out.
Well, take a look at what he did over in Carolina, and he's been there for a long time. Matter of fact, I remember when Carolina took him from the Chargers, he was a defensive coordinator over there. So when I take a look at Ron Rivera, and I've already had this conversation. You remember this.
Yeah.
This is what I said. If Cleveland's smart, they're going to have that conversation with Freddie Kitchens and say, look, we're going to put you back ahead at the offensive coordinator, and we're going to bring in Ron Rivera and watch how he does things. And then maybe after a while let you take over. But that would be a powerhouse. He'll improve your defense, and he gets to go back to offensive coordinator and learn how to be a head coach.
This is true. And I will challenge anybody. If you want to see a progressive team doing progressive things, I would start with the Rams, because that team is filled with ex-coaches, ex-coordinators, and that team actually made it last year, but they're about to keep moving and improving. That's what I like about that team.
The only thing that I don't like about the Rams topic is that, look, they like that Sean McVay. Unless they're really looking at getting rid of Wade Phillips, there's really not an opening over there.
Yeah.
So for Ron Rivera, you almost have to look for an opening. But what about the other one, Atlanta? Who do you think might fill there? I mean, that would actually be a good one for Ron Rivera to go into.
Yeah.
But would they go after him?
I don't know, because again, there was a coordinator that could be out of Miami, and there's another coach that came out of Oakland.
True.
That they were talking about, that these guys are potential head coaches. Now, I don't know.
There's Todd Bowles down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He's a defensive coordinator down there, but he's definitely head coach worthy.
And you're looking at some of the former coaches who are in different positions now that want to be head coaches again.
Yeah.
I mean, can you entrust these people to lead your team? I won't ever again use the Raiders as an example. I did my best to try and explain that earlier to the director, but it just didn't hold water. So
yeah, and the only one that I can think of, and I wouldn't mind seeing him as a head coach again, is Rex Ryan. But he's been out of the league for about a minute. But I know that he's hungry. He wants a position if somebody's willing to give it to him.
I was a bigger fan of Brian Billick. He used to coach the Ravens, and I mean, I was like, why are you not here? And
well, I think he's having more fun in the commentator side, where
yeah,
Rex is obviously
he did have the commentator side in that defunct league for a while. So there's that.
Okay, but also so rolling into the next topic, what do you think about this playoff?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say that now the playoffs that are coming up. If I was to sit and mention that, I think Dallas is just a spoiler for other teams, and they're giving people high hopes for no reason.
Well, that division is just atrocious anyway. But if you take a look at the next two games on their list, Dallas has got Philly, and then they end with Washington.
Now, you asked me before we came on about Dallas and Philly, and you know, honestly, I always give you a direct and straight answer. This one, I swear, I think I got to toss up a coin, and I don't want to.
All right, let me know what that coin is. I might need to.
Unless there's a three-sided coin,
but then you
which doesn't exist.
You take a look at the flip side. Philly's got Dallas, and then they end with the Giants. So you take a look at these matchups, and you know Eli's hungry. He's definitely competing for a potential spot somewhere else.
So you telling me Eli's going to try and perform for another team?
Well,
because he's not going back to New York.
No, he's not going to be staying in New York.
Yeah, that's over. So,
but take a look. He did put up a fight in his last game. Obviously, they didn't make it. But
yeah, was it 3 interceptions?
I don't remember.
0 wins. So I mean, he's not. He doesn't have anything to prove to New York anymore.
True.
So, you know, for him to be a potential for another team, which is something I would love to discuss. Where would he go if he continues to play? He's still young.
Yeah.
Not young, but you know.
So the only other interesting division is the AFC South. We have Houston. You know, they got the win over the Titans. They still have 2 more games left. That's a tough one. I think both teams could potentially lose this week.
Yeah.
Houston's got Tampa Bay. Titans have New Orleans. And if any one of them manage to do an upset, then that's week 17. has a lot riding on it.
That would be the Titans in New Orleans. That would be the only game I could look at that could be, and no one wants to believe it or even think about it. But most of these teams are spent. And New Orleans, they didn't really do a lot, or have to do a lot.
Well, I don't know. They made a statement win against Brissett and that Colts team. So,
but that would be the only game I would have my concern. My concerns would come from that because Tennessee put up a good game last week.
True.
Let's just be
honest.
And
I think when it comes down to it, I think Tennessee does match up better than most people will anticipate. Yeah. It'd definitely be worth a watch. But I still like New Orleans on that game.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take New Orleans, obviously. But it's just that, again, because the word I've heard a lot is teams being, or the phrase is teams being spent.
Well, yeah, at this point in the league, you're 12, 13 weeks in, you got the nagging injuries. You have the injuries that are taking people out. Yeah. It's just a matter of can you overcome them.
And there's no such thing as a backup. I mean, you just don't have it a lot of
offense. So to close this out, secretly, who are you pulling for in the AFC?
AFC. Steelers!
I knew it. Steelers still have a lock on number 6 seed.
Yeah.
All they need to do is win one more. They got the Jets coming up.
2 more.
And if Baltimore is stupid and rests their starters in Week 17,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Baltimore runs out. But if they don't, Kansas City walks away with this. It's a done deal.
Well, I was just saying to back you in. I mean, to solidify your potential playoff spot.
There's nothing solid. There's nothing solid about that. I mean,
thanks for joining us again, and we're out.
Y'all have a good one.